Hello and welcome. Today we are going to look at Mr. Trump's inauguration horoscope. We did look at the inauguration itself, but let's go back in time and start from the beginning. So this is what you're going to look at, and this is the horoscope of Mr. Trump when he was actually confirmed as a candidate for a president. So he had his progressed sun on his birth ascendant, and this is actually when he became the president of the United States for the first time. And we have to have a look as well on the conjunction of progressed Venus on his Chiron in the second house and Mercury that was on his Pluto shortly before. So have it in mind that these are the factors that we'll think of when we look at the progressed horoscope of Mr. Trump, because there's loads of interesting stuff going to happen in 2025. And listen to me, this is not the horoscope of the United States. So the presidency of Mr. Trump is something totally different than actually the future of United States. So these are the feelings and energies that astrology is giving me a hint of how is his presidency, if it happens, is going to look like through the next 4 years. So let's have a look at the horoscope of his progressed horoscope for the day of the inauguration. That's in about 1 week, because we have that's the 12th of January when I'm recording this video, 2025. So when I indicated before that the sun was on his ascendant, so that's a completely new life. From a businessman, he became a politician, and he still is a politician. Sun hasn't completed the journey through his first house, so I don't expect him to change a job anytime soon, if everything goes according to the schedule. The second thing that we'd like to look at is that Mars here is actually exactly on Chiron when he had the Venus aspect in Chiron when he became the president the first time, and now is the god of war doing the same thing. So I expect that his presidency, if it happens, and if he's healthy and everything is okay, that is going to be quite different than the previous one. And again, have a look at Mercury, that is almost in conjunction with his Mars in the 12th house. So I think that at a certain stage, when we have the exact aspect of Mercury touching his 12th house Mars, very close to his ascendant, that he may show up as a person that might feel like a messiah. But we'll get back to that in a second. So another interesting fact about his progressed horoscope is that his Uranus is going in the direction of his natal sun. This is a very strong conjunction that I've seen in a number of, let's say, genius and very expansive people, very successful people. So unpredictability, if you're unpredictable, very often this unpredictability can lead you to some sort of a success in life. And this is in the sector of his actual career. So he became one of the most famous people on the planet, apart from being very rich. So let's look again at the aspects that these most important planets and points in his horoscope are creating. So, as I said before, the god of chaos and revolution, technology, is almost in conjunction with his sun. Uranus was in conjunction with Mr. Trump's North nodes. So we can say that the chaos propelled and cast Mr. Trump into the future. In the same time, it is creating an opposition to his natal moon in the 4th sector that is responsible for, let's say, family. And this is where, if I was to advise Mr. Trump, is to balance the chaos in his career. he should be looking for answers in his close family. So balance between the career and being a husband and a father at home, this is the way to do it. The horoscope says that this is how it looks like. The other interesting aspect is that progressed Jupiter and progressed Venus are forming a conjunction here that is actually squaring his, and this is a dynamic aspect, squaring his natal Venus that is in conjunction with natal Saturn in Cancer, in the 11th sector that is responsible for, let's say, the social work, what you give to the society. And they are still in the 2nd sector, so financial sector. I expect that there might be some sort of pumping a bubble shortly after his inauguration, that all of the businesses are running fine. The United States is the greatest nation in the world, and there might be some friction later that year, but we'll get back to that in a second. Another thing, this is just the 20th of January 2025, in a couple of days, in a week time. This is the position of the planets that astrology shows us according to our Mother Earth. And the progressed moon is going to touch his roots, the lowest point in horoscope, in a couple of months, probably maybe in a year. So this is again where his emotions are going to look for the answers in the roots and family. Apart from that, the 2nd sector that is responsible for finances, wealth that we accumulate during our life, is conjuncting Chiron. So these are his court cases, as far as I know, because I don't really read the news. I don't have a telly at home, so I don't read the news. I don't really know what is going on in the world. I try not to follow the news. Sometimes some information are getting through somehow to me, but that would indicate that all of his financial problems, even though that they can get really aggregated and public, might be resolved with one quick cut. He simply became the president again, so I think that the court cases will be gone. Just like that. There still might be going some rumors and stuff like that. As far as I understand, at this stage he can do a presidential pardon to himself. But I've never been to States, so I don't know how it works. The other interesting thing is that is shown in another horoscope that we'll get in a second, is that Mercury, the god of information, intellect, and I think that at certain stage, if everything goes fine, there's not too much chaos during this presidency, he may become some sort of a messiah. Or maybe he can think that he is one. But this is what's gonna happen in about a year, 2 year time. Let's have a look at transits to his birth horoscope. And they are extremely interesting. They are even much more interesting than the progressed horoscope that I did show you a couple of minutes ago. So let's have a look at the most important actors here on this market of transit in the transit horoscope. So that would be Uranus, that is moving backwards, but standing on his midheaven. And we have Jupiter, that is moving backwards as well. And above the stellium of Uranus, North Nodes, and Trump's Sun. And Mars, that's moving backwards as well, standing over his conjunction of Saturn and Venus in the 11th house. Another interesting thing is that during the inauguration, the moon is going to be on his Jupiter, but the most important and the most friction and the most difficult aspects are here. Sun and Pluto in conjunction, and Neptune in conjunction with North Node. And let's have a look. I marked these aspects so you can clearly see them. Neptune conjuncting the North Node in the last degrees of Pisces is creating with Pluto and Sun so-called yod. It is a constellation in a horoscope that points at some people call it finger of God, as it is so important. The energy regarding this setup in a horoscope point the special area of life that if we focus on and if we master, because this type of energy is not harmonious. It is a difficult energy to work with, but if you master it and if you learn how to work with these two energies that are very difficult to master, that affects his personality and his mystic abilities, let's say, because he does have some, where if he has Pluto and Mars in the 12th house, I think that this is what gives him drive to succeed, to never stop. So this is the very important point in his horoscope. And Neptune, the god of illusion, water, pharmacy, movie industry, and the god of underworld and the sun are creating a very, very strong yod. But this is the transits just for the inauguration. This is not the future of Mr. Trump as such, and of United States as such. This is a special yod because we call it a boomerang yod. And on the other side, there is a lot of fortune of Mr. Trump, almost in conjunction with his descendant, that would be his partners. So usually when we look at the yods, we look at the point of interest, that would be the Mars and ascendant, and to open this energy, one has to master what's on the other side of the horoscope. So in this case, that would be his health and partners. So I don't know if it's Melania or whoever, that's like family partners and partners, whatever other partners he has. It's vice presidents or his son running his business, they are his partners. So if he masters these partners, cooperation with these partners at home, both at home and at work, that would open this yod, this double yod actually, and then he would master this place in his horoscope. And what happens, I've just shown you a couple of pictures ago, there's a Mercury that's going to go into conjunction with Mars. So here's about a year, maybe a year and a half before it happens. If it happens, as I said, I think that he may turn into some sort of a messiah. How, what, where, and how, and when, we'll see. The other interesting thing is that as soon as Uranus, and it's going to happen, I think at the end of January, is going to start moving forward, will go through Trump's highest point in the horoscope. So this is the point indicating your career. So a god of chaos, technology, comes onto your midheaven. That's the highest point of your career, and starts to work through the 10th house, the 10th sector responsible for your career. I think that we should expect unexpected as soon as it happens. I expect lots of chaos. I expect lots of uncertainties and revolution regarding his own appearance and regarding United States, of course. We'll talk about United States a bit later. Another interesting thing is that as soon as Jupiter moves forward, Jupiter is going to conjunct Uranus, his North Node, and Sun in Gemini in the 10th sector. That's career again. With the communication, I think that we can expect some sort of unexpected inflation. I'm not talking about monetary inflation, but inflation pumping the bubble of everything. So that's gonna be probably March. I have to check it. But for the first 2 months anyways, we shouldn't expect the year 2025 to be too interesting. But it's gonna get interesting from March till September, October, let's say. It's gonna be very, very interesting here, full of chaos, revolutions, changes, unexpected events. That's gonna be 2025. So another thing is that Mars is still going backwards as well, is retrograding. As soon as Mars goes back into the conjunction with Saturn and Venus in the 11th sector, that is responsible, as I said, how you give yourself to the society. I think that he will try to give himself as much as possible to the American society, being the American president. And in the same time, from my personal experience, Moon conjuncting any sort of a planet in your horoscope, because Moon is very receptive, it's a female energy, and so even though sometimes when aspects from Moon are very positive, they tend to take the energy from the planets that Moon is aspecting. So, as I said before, I expect pumping the bubble, and at a certain stage, the bubble may burst. And it might be quite a big one. Let's get to the inauguration horoscope again. As I told you before, because of Sun and Pluto conjunction and the opposition to Mars, this presidency all over the world can be, my God, is it Saturn and Venus is in the 11th house as Mr. Trump's is. Okay, that's interesting as well. In a water sign as well. So, and that's in Aquarius. I expect, and there's a lot of fortune in the conjunction as well. I expect United States as a country during this presidency to put lots of pressure on the countries that they are interested in affecting somehow. And we already heard about Panama, about Canada, about Greenland, about Mexico. Will it happen? We'll see. But there is going to be lots of pressure, and that's going to be a pressure from the depths of the deep state of the United States that, technically speaking, realized that they are losing technology war with China. And the next thing I am going to do is to analyze briefly, because there is just one aspect. I briefly analyze the horoscope of Panama, as it seems that this immense pressure is going to be on Panama anyways, because this is one of the lifelines for the United States. They need this channel to be fully operational and in American control. Otherwise, communication between East and West Coast is not as easy as it should be. So this is one of the next horoscopes that I'm going to look at. But we've spoken about that in the previous video, so you can go back to my channel and see the video number 1 from the Trump inauguration. And let's have a look at the last picture that I have, second last. Because this inauguration has this very aspect here, Sun and Pluto, and a lot of fortune in the 10th house, very close to the MC in Aquarius. I'm telling you, United States is going to pressure very many countries in the world, like pressure. Sometimes, maybe even blackmailing. This is the sort of activity I expect from this presidency to happen. But in the exact time when we have this setup in the United States, on the other side of the globe in Mongolia, Sun and Pluto are going to be on the roots, the IC of that particular space and time. So what I expected, I thought that this line is going to end up in China. The line is ending up in China anyways, but not on any vital Chinese Actually, I didn't check the Chinese horoscope yet because we'll do the Panama and then United States. So I expect loads of pressure from the United States onto Panama and maybe to Mongolia as well, because Mongolia is between Russia and China. So I expect states try to get their foot into Mongolia, so they are not as closely allied with China, because they supply very many important minerals to the Chinese market, so China can grow faster and better. So I expect Americans will try to maybe demolish or maybe simply try to do some business with Mongolia in such a way that the business with China, between China and Mongolia, suffers. We'll see what happens in months to come. As you can see, this line, this place goes very close to Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia. That's Mongolian horoscope as well. And this is the last thing that I want to talk about. This is what's going to happen in 2026. Saturn joins Neptune in Aries. 2026 we'll have a first conjunction, I think, later this year, but this is the main one because it affects the roots of the United States of America. And last time it happened, we didn't have a conjunction of Neptune and Saturn here, but only Neptune made an influence on this area of American horoscope, and it ended up in civil war. When Neptune was here on the other side of horoscope, we had a war with Japan, and I think that Pearl Harbor happened exactly when Neptune was here on the other side of the horoscope. When we had oh no, I'm sorry. Oh yes, yeah, that was Pearl Harbor. But when Neptune visited MC of the United States for the first time, we had the war for American independence. So these points are extremely important for the United States. As far as I remember, when Neptune conjunct Uranus here, we had the massacre of Indians. That was the last battle with the Indians, and basically speaking, that was it for the Native Americans. When we had Neptune on the moon or on Pluto, I don't remember, that was the war with Mexico. And so we will analyze these aspects that are going to happen in the American horoscope. But I expect, even though the presidency itself looks as if worked through well through the energies that are coming, and they're not harmonious, but to me, the presidency as such might be very successful. The problem is here. Are we going to see some sort of revolution in the United States? Uprising, secession? Some of the states will want to leave the Union. I don't know, but we will analyze this transit horoscope of the United States soon. But for the time being, I am going to look at Panama's horoscope, because it looks that Panama will simply receive lots of pressure from the United States. So more or less, that's it for today. I hope that you did enjoy the video, and it would be nice if some of you subscribed to my channel, because I have very little subscription at this stage. 2025, 2026 are going to be extremely exciting, and there is really lots of stuff that I will be looking at regarding horoscopes and astrology of these years to come. I would highly recommend you watching the film from the 30s called Things to Come, I think. It's available on YouTube for free, as far as I know. I think that the colored version is better than the monochrome version, so I would recommend you watching that film. Extremely interesting. Let's see how the presidency of Mr. Trump will happen hopefully on the 20th of January this year. So that's in about a week's time on Monday. And we'll see how the world will change, as it will. I'm saying 2025, 2026 are going to be years that we are going to remember as we do remember 2020 and 2019, 2021. So this sort of events are ahead of us. There's going to be lots of illusion, lots of confusion. We all are going to get tested. The question is, are we going to pass the test or not? So my recommendation would be throw the telly away. Okay? That's all I have to say for today. And let me write me some comments in the section below. So with your recommendations and whatever you want me to have a look at regarding what's going to happen in the near future in the world. And of course, if I have enough time, I'll do it with pleasure. So see you next time. That's it for today. Bye bye.